Okay, good morning, everybody. For Tuesday, the 16th of May. A couple of thank yous for yesterday. It was very tricky operationally yesterday. I think I managed to use 4 different runways in the end, but that is just the nature of a northerly wind at Lasham. Thankfully, it's reduced. Just one housekeeping notice, though. I try to make sure as best as I can that you're aware of where we're going to grids. That's not going to be possible every day, otherwise I'm going to be sending an email all the time. But if you can just make sure that you do not go on the runway really early in the morning until you've either seen a text from one of us or you've spoken to somebody that knows that there's no jet movements, because I can't guarantee that you won't have an EasyJet A320 suddenly coming in at 8:30 in the morning. So thank you, Dave, for being so keen. You're all on the north side, most of you on the north side grass now, and what we've got is an area of high pressure which is continuing to sit over the top of us. Last night's soundings, as I've just seen from David, did look very good indeed. It does look like that large parts of the country would have had a really good air mass, but don't be worried. We've still got a good air mass today, and we're picking up a slightly slacker northerly wind now than we had yesterday. No real fronts or anything else to worry about. Maybe some moisture just on the east of the country. But on the whole, pretty good. We finally arrived with some good soaring weather. Those winds at heights looking somewhere in the region around north to northwest at around 10 to 15 knots. The satellite picture over the UK, is fairly bright at the moment. Some moisture just over into Wales at the moment, which is worth keeping an eye on. Just a bit of Q just popping up here this morning, but generally across most of the country looking nice and bright, lots of heating, looking like a reasonable day. Public forecast is showing 15 degrees to be the top temperature today. We're looking at a trigger of around 12, and I'll show you the sounding in a moment from last night. And you can see nice sunny intervals, good visibility. What more could we want? So onto that sounding then. Let me just find where I've put it. It's disappeared. Right, let me just go and find it again. There we go. There's your sounding. 12 degrees giving us a reasonable cloud base of 3,000 feet. So we should reach that probably within the next hour and a half or so. And then looking quite unstable from there, really. Nice inversion higher up, which will stop it going to showers, and no upper level cloud. So yeah, nice and easy, I think, today, but it will still be fairly chilly. Okay, so yes, public forecast is that. GFS is showing similar temperature values of around 13 to 14 degrees. And dew points currently around 5 or 6. So yeah, we're in a good position for it to trigger. And I think, there's been a bit of that already. Dew points later in the day, again, sort of 5s, 6s and 7s in there. So yeah, remaining good as the temperature continues to increase. That was a bit earlier. Let's just see if it's updated. We currently have a temperature of 11 and a dew point of 5, which means we're probably less than an hour away from it properly triggering. And the picture outside, well, that was at 8:30. Just a few specks of cumulus disappearing on the horizon currently. So yeah, looking very, very nice. METAR wise, Bryce Norton are just saying Cav okay all day. Doesn't necessarily mean it's blue, just means the cloud's quite high. 10 knots from the northwest. Odium have saying 5 knots from the northwest, but that's for last night, so that's not very useful. Let's try Farnborough. A few clouds at 4,000 feet, a light northwesterly breeze. Southampton, it's all very simple, guys. It's just going to be lovely and sunny with some cumulus, put it that way. Excellent. Right, on to the detail. 18 meter looks like that. A slight downgrade, if I'm honest, on the colours I saw yesterday, but considering our season so far, it looks quite nice. Very nice in Ireland as well, if we have any Irish watchers. Looking from where we are, best area is either going to be down to the southwest, southeast, or up to the northwest. Not so good in this area up sort of due north or northeast of us, as it seems at the moment. Starting then at 10 o'clock, we have blue to shallow Q, sort of sat around 10 to 1100 meters. So yeah, 3000 feet from the word go. Just going to zoom in, get a little bit better view on what's going on. There we go. By 11 o'clock then we've got 3.5 to 4,000 feet. By 2 o'clock we have sort of 4,000 to 4,500 feet quite widely. According to this, not going much higher than that in our local area, but good down to the southeast where you might see cloud bases of 5,000 to 5,500 feet. But yeah, generally 4,500 feet quite widely across the southeast, the southwest, northwest, and West Midlands. And it keeps going at this time of the year. Sun goes down at what, nearly a quarter to 9 now. So this is, what time's that? 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock actually, still going. 7 o'clock, just about. And I think Andy said it was still going yesterday, and Ken Barker. Well done on your flights yesterday, by the way. And then, yeah, by 8 o'clock, the bar definitely is open. So, yeah, I think shut off looking around 7 o'clock latest. Cloud amounts, reads about cumulus throughout the day. Maybe the chance of some slightly thicker cumulus and overdevelopment to our due north and northeast. But aside from that, should be nice spattering of cumulus. Okay, on to SkySight then. And potential flight distance was generally fairly similar, maybe a little bit weaker in this middle patch, but then it was like that yesterday. Again, southeast, southwest, northwest looks like where you're going. And thermal's ever so slightly weaker on here, but widely 3 to 4 knots across the area. And your heights of thermals mid-afternoon, looking around here about 4,000 feet above Lasham, and sort of 5,000 feet if you go slightly further afield or down to the southeast. And again, still going on very late. This probably saying it's going to shut off at around sort of 6:30 or so, so maybe half an hour earlier. But I'm sure you can make that work. And yeah, it's cumulus amounts looking about the same. Northerly, so we're not too worried about sea air or anything like that. Looks fairly dead in that respect. Maybe the Isle of Wight's on if you want to trip down there. Ridge not going to be quite so good today. And if we just have a look at freezing level today will be around 5,500 to 6,000 feet. But I don't expect there's going to be too much cloud climbing going on. Given that, no real chance of storms or anything like that, and no real risk of top cover. Okay, finally then, we'll just have to get Scooty. Let's go down the West Country. 5:30 then, with a temperature of 14 degrees, giving cloud base quite nicely there of around 4,500 feet. And no cloud higher than that. And down to the southeast, near Ashford, a bit more on the way of cloud, but slightly higher with their temperature of probably 16 degrees there, giving cloud base of around 5,500 feet. So yeah, looking good. And finally, point forecast for Lasham. Just to sum up, northwesterly wind and cloud bases here generally sitting around 4,000 feet for most of the day to 4,500 with climbs of 3 to 4 knots. Good, so I think I've solved that well enough. On to the NOTAMs. Right, so we have parachuting at Bryce Norton between 11:45 local and 5:15 local. There is a AIP trigger NOTAM for Keevil that is just informing people that the new airspace volume can be activated by NOTAM, I must suggest. This does not suggest that there is any activity at Keevil today. However, as it is your responsibility, I would ensure that you check the NOTAMs as well. And if need be, if you're going to directly overfly Keevil, have a chat to Boscombe. But as far as I'm aware, there is no activity currently scheduled for Keevil. in terms of drone activity. There is a new temporary danger area in there, and I suggest you have a look at some of the documentation. What else do I know about? Kemble have got a jet movement this morning about 11:45. So if you're flying in that area and see a Boeing 757, it's a bit like Lasham, but there's no gliders there. We also have danger areas active on the Salisbury Plain to slightly higher levels than normal. We have Bulfords, which is on there, activated today, up to 3,000 feet. And we have Imber, which is the western side of it, near Keevil, which is active up to 23,000 feet today. So those are those two. What else we got? Fly past RF Halton today, and Halton's active with a gliding. Around our area, nothing much. 25 paragliders operating near Highclere Castle. 27 is not relevant. Okay, 31 is not relevant. Let's go further up country and have a look. I think there are some parachute jumping, and yes, there is. These are the ones to be aware of, guys. Parachuting within 8 nautical miles of Shobden between 12 and 6 today. So that's the one to watch. There's also some parachuting going on at Hereford. Don't think I need to suggest who that might be. That is occurring between, again, 12 and 6 tonight. Having a look. There's also more parachuting within 3 nautical miles if you're up to 3,000 feet, and 6 nautical miles up to 6,000 feet in the vicinity of Shobden. Again, pretty much don't fly near Shobden unless you have worked out what they're doing. And a reminder that Shobden's frequency is 118.155. So yeah, that's an area to be aware of, and I suggest you have a look as well. There's nothing else too much in the NOTAMs that I can see this morning as I look on Sky Demon. So if we go back to, that's a big screen of me. Right, there we go. Let's just go to the operational setup. There may be a Navajo at some point this morning, but that's the only thing I've had notified. And operationally, we're going to grid on the north side grass, launching on the winch, otherwise off 27, and any remaining air towing on the runway. Please use the grid as much as you can, because that's where we got the volunteers to help, and we got tug pilots and stuff rocking up at 2 o'clock, wondering why everybody's gone to lunch, or people have gone, tug pilots gone to lunch. Doesn't really work. So yes, and please make sure that club gliders are put away with the wings washed. Don't want to see any bugs on them, as I think the bug population might all start coming out again. So with that all in mind, have a really nice day. We will see you on the grid. Bye for now.